So what is style really? Is it just some kind of feeling, an intuition, or could it actually be a line of code? Well, today we're going to dive into how AI is trying to crack that very code, turning the soul of fashion into pure data. And believe it or not, this whole thing kicked off with a controversy that really hit a nerve.
Wow, this was an actual reader's reaction when Vogue magazine used AI-generated models, and it just perfectly sums up the backlash. The fear wasn't just about new technology. It was this gut feeling that the heart of fashion, real human creativity, was being replaced by something cold, corporate, and, well, fake.
And the reaction was swift. People saw this as way more than just a lazy shortcut. To them, it felt like the magazine was basically admitting that it's all just an ad. And that opened up this huge can of worms about authenticity. I mean, if the person wearing the clothes isn't even real, how can you believe in any of it?
Okay, but this is where the whole conversation takes a fascinating turn. Yeah, those first AI models were kind of generic, but the tech is moving way past that now. We're talking about AI that can be trained to replicate a very specific attitude, a certain energy, a whole style. So how does that even work? And more importantly, why are brands so obsessed with making it happen?
The motivation, as it so often does, really boils down to two things: control and money. Brands are in what you could call a virtual gold rush. But they're not digging for gold. They're creating perfectly predictable digital talent that promises to fix some of the biggest headaches in the creative industry.
So, let me introduce you to Aitana Lopez. She's a hyper-realistic virtual influencer. Her creator, a guy named Ruben Cruz, basically said his agency was just fed up. They were tired of projects getting derailed by the egos and unpredictability of human influencers. Their solution? It was simple and kind of terrifying. They just made their own talent from scratch.
And the payoff? It's staggering. Aitana Lopez is reportedly pulling in up to $11,000 a month. A month from brand deals and subscriptions. So let's be clear, this isn't just some weird novelty anymore. This is a serious and seriously profitable business model.
So you can see why this is so appealing, right? For a brand, AI offers this perfect package deal. You get total control over the look, the message, the schedule. There are no egos to manage, no flight delays, no sick days. It's a perfectly consistent brand ambassador that's available 24/7, anywhere in the world.
So this brings us to the really mind-bending part, the technology behind it all. How do you actually take something as abstract and subjective as a vibe and turn it into computer code? Well, a whole new discipline is popping up to do exactly that.
And it's called vibe coding. The core idea here is to stop treating style like it's some kind of magic and start treating it like a system, a set of controllable parameters. You're no longer just asking an AI for a cool photo. You're giving it precise, structured instructions for the exact emotional state you want to create.
And this is where it gets super practical. Think of this chart as the engineer's control panel for a vibe. You have all these different dials you can turn. You set the intent. Are we trying to inspire people or reassure them? You adjust the tone. Should it feel warm or more assertive? You can even dial up the energy level or change the perspective. Every single one is a knob you can tweak to engineer the precise feeling you're going for.
And the real-world application of all this vibe coding is something the industry is starting to call synthetic casting. This is where agencies are training highly specialized AI models to crank out very specific styles like 90s grunge or high-fashion glam, not just once, but reliably over and over again. It's like having a casting director who can summon the perfect attitude on command.
And this just brilliantly breaks down how that abstract vibe becomes cold, hard data. A vibe isn't magic, it's just a collection of tiny, measurable signals. It's the exact angle of a hip, the precise softness of a shadow, the cadence of a walk. These are all just patterns that an AI can be trained to recognize and, more importantly, to replicate perfectly.
So if we know what a vibe is in technical terms, how in the world do you actually teach it to an AI? How does a machine learn something as totally human and subjective as taste?
This diagram shows the training loop, and it's pretty wild. It starts with one AI that can basically see. It looks at a picture, like this one of a hoodie, and it generates an incredibly detailed description, turning the image data into text data. That data is then fed to a second AI to teach it about style. But here's the absolute key. The whole learning process is guided by actual human feedback.
And that feedback often uses a technique called direct preference optimization, or DPO. It's a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful. You basically show the AI two options, say two different outfits, and you have a human pick which one is better or more stylish. By doing this over and over, the AI learns directly from our choices, essentially fine-tuning its own understanding of our taste. It's not just learning what's correct, it's learning what we prefer. So putting it all together, the professional workflow looks something like this. Step 1. Curate. You have to build a super specific, obsessively curated dataset of images that just screams your target vibe. Step 2. Label. You tag every single image with all that structured data we talked about. And finally, Step 3. Rank. You get real humans to rank the images, creating all that valuable preference data that teaches the AI what good actually looks like for that specific style.
What this is creating is a totally new kind of job. The traditional casting director, that's a role that relies on human intuition, on gut feeling, and years of experience. It's an art. But this new synthetic casting director, it's a system. It's built on data, and it's designed to produce a perfectly controlled, perfectly repeatable output that matches a brand's identity every single time.
So all of this brings us right back to where we started, that initial controversy. Because as this tech gets more and more sophisticated, we're being forced to ask some pretty fundamental questions about the future of creativity itself.
And this quote just nails the next battleground. Pretty soon, any AI will be able to generate a realistic-looking person. That's going to be the easy part, the baseline. The real competitive advantage, the thing that sets you apart, will be the ability to generate a specific, brand-aligned attitude. It's not about realism anymore. It's about having total control over the vibe.
And that leaves us with some really big and frankly uncomfortable questions. What does this mean for the careers of human models, stylists, and photographers? Can we even call it art if it's generated by an algorithm that's been trained on a company's marketing goals? And as someone on Reddit pointed out, what happens to our body image issues when AI can create impossibly perfect people that are even more unattainable than what we see in magazines today?
Ultimately, I guess we're left with this. Technology has given us the power to quantify style, to automate a feeling, to turn a vibe into a function. But in doing so, we now have to decide what we really value more: the perfect, predictable, and consistent output of an algorithm, or the messy, beautiful, and unpredictable soul of human expression. And that line between the art and the algorithm, well, it's getting blurrier every single day.